You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where we're here to belatedly recap the 100 final and talk about England's ongoing series. Well, England's series defeat.
It's over. It's over already.
I should say, to the South Africans. I'm Jack Hope, and I'm joined by Max Rowe-Brown. Max, plenty of cricket to talk about this week. We're not starved. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. It's feeling somewhat autumnal in the UK now. It was like someone flicked a switch on Monday and suddenly made it grey and wet. So it feels like the cricket season is over. I've got my first pre-season football friendly on Saturday, so the timing is fairly abrupt.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like the cricket season weather-wise. I'm surprised they even managed to get a game on yesterday at Lord's. There were like waves of torrential rain blowing through the capital, and
the same with the blast on Wednesday as well.
Yeah. Oh, blimey! Yeah, there was. I mean, Wednesday. I've never seen so much rain. I don't think. Look, it's cold. That's the weather forecast or weather retro aspect of
You're
the Cricket
listening
Podcast.
to the weather podcast.
If you want to follow the Cricket Pod, you can at the Cricket Pod on various socials. You can support us directly at patreon.com/the Cricket Pod. And remember to like and subscribe wherever you are watching or listening. Max, we'll do the 100 first, shall we?
Let's.
Because it was a few days ago now. I can do the semi-finals.
Yeah.
There was some rain, and that made things quite difficult. To play cricket in the women's. It didn't for the women. It definitely didn't for the Northern Supercharges. We'll start with the women's game in the semi-final. The Northern Superchargers scored 215 runs off their 100 balls. I think was that the joint record or second highest score in the women's 100. It's a lot. 214 in 100 balls is a lot. That was mainly down to breakout star Davina Perrin. Still a teenager, 101 off 43 balls. So they run out, I think, off the last ball of the innings, not avoiding the David Milan average saver. London Spirit, they gave it an effort, 172 for 9. Not really in the game, kind of blasted out of it. And that meant the Northern Superchargers went through to the final on the women's side. In the men's side, Northern Superchargers again involved. This time against the Trent Rockets, the rain came down. The match was reduced to 75 balls. It might have been reduced a little bit further. I think it was reduced a little bit further, wasn't it? However, they only managed 5 balls for the second innings. Trent Rockets finishing 12 for none. And then they went
sadly not enough for Duckworth Lewis Stern to take into account 5 balls of cricket.
They went off, and then following the rules of the 100, the highest placed team in the group stage went through, which was the Trent Rockets. That takes us to Sunday, and Max will talk you through Sunday.
Absolutely. So on the women's side, it was the unbeaten Southern Brave winning every game in the group stage against the Northern Superchargers, and Maybe the fact that Southern Brave had a few days off of cricket bit them in the arse, because they didn't really get going at any stage of their batting innings. Only Freya Kemp managed to score anything like the strike rate that you would be hoping for from a 100 final, and they finished on 115 for 6 from their 100 balls, which you don't need to be a 100 savant to know that that's not particularly good. Northern Superchargers, despite losing a couple of early wickets, including aforementioned breakout star Davina Perrin, made short work of it. 12 balls to spare, 7 wickets in hand. They cantered to victory in the end. It just goes to show, doesn't it, Jack? You can have all of the glory in the group stage of a short format competition, but when it comes to a one-off final game, all bets are off. And Northern Superchargers made it count when it mattered.
They did, yeah. Northern Superchargers weren't bad themselves. It's not like it didn't feel like an aberration of a result, if that makes sense. I know the Southern Brave probably were the best team in the tournament, but Northern Superchargers, they finished second, really
with a better run rate. Yeah,
won six out of the 8 group matches. Then they won a 7th match, and they won an 8th match. So in the end, their kind of records
8-2 and 8-1.
yeah, they're not incomparable. A little bit unlucky for Southern Brave. I wonder whether that gap does make a difference. What's your opinion on the gap?
I mean, it sort of gets. It depends when you play your last group game, doesn't it? It's sort of it can get close to a week, I suppose. But they actually ended up playing the last group game against Welsh Fire. So maybe on that occasion the gap probably not such a big deal. It's only 3 days. So if anything, yeah, you'd say like time to get a bit of practice in, get a bit of rest, and be firing. So I'd say probably not on this occasion. But if it were, for example, the Oval Invincibles, shall we say, who played their last group game on the 25th of August, that is nearly a full week of not playing a game of cricket. In which case, I think you probably could lose a bit of momentum, couldn't you? Maybe you just I don't know. There's almost I don't know if it's like an adrenaline factor or just motivation or whatever. But you've been playing quite a lot of cricket over that period, and then suddenly, you've got a week off when you've been going at it, and you kind of you can't really help it, can you? Your body just sort of goes into relaxation mode to a degree, I suppose. So and then it's hard to get going again. But I think on this occasion, probably just the the better team on the day winning out, and like we were sort of saying, when you win 8-0 in the league stage without really being tested too much, sometimes that's not a great thing, is it? Because you don't find yourselves in tricky situations. You haven't got that recent experience of how to navigate them, or what to do in those situations. And when it comes down to it in the game that really matters, if you get stuck in a bit of a rut, it could actually do you a disservice, I suppose, not being challenged in that way. So maybe that's something that played into it as well.
Yeah, possibly. Lords is also a strange venue. I mean, like
that is true. Yeah,
I mean, we've seen all sides of Lords in the last week, but nobody really. I mean, they've got some good batters, Southern Brave. Nobody really got going. Wolfart got a golden duck, and I think we've said this before. We've said this a few times. I think there are the performance of your best player is disproportionately relevant to the outcome of the game in women's cricket, because the skill gap is low. And so if Wolfart gets a 0, that's a massive swing towards Northern Supercharges, which I don't want to say determine the outcome of the match. They won pretty comfortably, but
well, their whole top three really, isn't it? With Southern Brave, Boucher, White Hodge, and Wolfart, they have almost the game, I suppose, without being too harsh on everyone else. Like that, like you say, it takes a big chunk of equity out of it if you get those cheaply. And they did. I mean, Southern Brave have got a specialist wicketkeeper coming in at 9. Like that kind of gives you an idea of how it works sometimes.
What were they? They were 38 for 3 off 33 balls. That top 3. And if you do that, you'll probably beat the Southern Brave. So that's probably where it was won. Davina Perrin was the other big story on the women's side. Should she be playing for England immediately, Max?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. England women are going nowhere fast at the moment, and if you want to if let's take a leaf out of the Bazball book on the men's side and just throw young people in when they've shown promise. Although on this occasion, Davina Perrin's actually done something astounding that suggests that maybe it is worth throwing her in. But I think I do think the England women's setup could use a bit of freshness, a breath of fresh air. We've had the same sort of names knocking about for quite a long time. I guess people have come in and out. I think Alice Capsey is one of those people who's been much vaunted as like the next big star, and then she never really kicked on. And I think, just having a little bit of pressure, I think, from outside, knocking on the door, saying, hang on, you need to, up your game here, because there's a whole lot of talent waiting to take the field for England. I think that would be a good thing. I'd give it a go. Why not? That's an astounding performance in in the semi-final of, I guess, would you call it the biggest quote unquote T20 competition in women's cricket? It's probably just below the IPL now, isn't it? The women's.
I'd say it was a fair way below the IPL and probably behind the Big Bash.
Maybe the Big Bash as well. Yeah, but it's up there, right? It's up there, and it has high quality players, and she's done that. Put that performance out on the big stage. You have to sit up and take notice. And it wasn't just that innings, but she had a pretty decent tournament that aside. So yeah, why not throw her in? England women are terrible at the moment. Do something different.
Yeah. No, all right, fair. On the men's side, Max, what happened?
Well, it was Oval Invincibles' chance to record the much vaunted three-peat before their assumed formulation into Mumbai Indians London or whatever they end up being called. And they absolutely they smashed the pants off the start of their innings. Will Jacks 72 off 41, Jordan Cox 40 off 28, getting things firing as they have done in the last couple of weeks with some regularity. It sort of fizzled out a bit from there. No one really managed to kick on, and credit to Trent Rockets, who managed to drag things back. I think Dylan Pennington in particular bowled pretty well towards the end of the innings, and kept the Oval Invincibles down to 168 for 5 of their 100 balls, but which is it's a decent score in 100 cricket, I suppose. But you do have to remember that it is Lords, and scores at higher scores at Lords. Yesterday aside, we'll get to that. Tends to be a bit of a rarer thing, and the other thing that happened, Jack, in the Trent Rockets innings, obviously there was much ado about whether it was okay for Adam Zampa to come in for one game to replace Rashid Khan, who'd left for the Afghanistan squad. But it wasn't the leg spinner named Adam Zampa who caused the carnage for Surrey Oval. I'll show my allegiances there. Surrey, who cares? It was Nathan Souter. Nathan Souter, iconic man who's basically made a name for himself as the other spinner in Oval Invincibles, who actually does quite a good job. He ripped the top order out of the Trent Rockets innings. Tom Banton, Joe Root, and Graham Ahmed all falling in quick succession to Nathan Souter, and that pretty much ended the contest. Despite a very valiant effort from Marcus Stoinis, who hit 64 of 38 to keep it vaguely interesting towards the end, but never really a threat, despite his best efforts once those top three had departed. And Oval have done it again, Jack. 3 wins from 3 in their last 3 finals. What a way for them to sign off.
Well, they're clearly the best team. Probably more clearly the best team, even though they didn't have the literally invincible record of the Southern Brave on the women's side. I mean, they absolutely dominated the tournament, and they deserve to win.
So the quick way you can look at whether someone's dominated is net run rate, as we were talking about. Yeah. And they finished that group stage, although they had the same record 6-2 as Trent Rockets, 1.78. 1.79 net run rate compared to 0.39 for Trent Rockets. I mean that's the next closest. Like that shows you that when they won, they absolutely wiped the floor with the competition.
Yeah, and they kind of did that in the final, didn't they? I thought 168 was always going to be too many to chase. I was impressed with Nathan Souter. I mean, obviously, if they were going to get there, Banton, Root, and Rayan Ahmed are going to have to build at least some of a platform for Stoinis and maybe Linda to slog later in the innings. And Stoinis actually held up his end of the bargain, but the top 3 all dismissed by Souter, and it was kind of game over pretty early. You could switch over and watch Arsenal.
It was Villa Palace, was it, on Sunday?
It was the evening one, wasn't it? Yeah, it was actually later. But the highlights, I don't know, the rerun.
Yeah,
Arsenal, Liverpool.
so you could switch over and watch Soboslai's free kick on repeat for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. And that sort of wraps it up. I mean, I think on the men's side, again, like the slightly more interesting stuff was sort of happening off field. Actually, probably the most interesting thing that happened in domestic short form cricket was Ravi Bopara hitting 100 in the quarter final against Surrey.
Ruined my night, I tell you.
Like, it was a great innings. Like,
it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. Yeah. Ravi Bopara, he loves the Oval. He if he turns up against Surrey, he always does something.
Yeah. Well, he's a good player. Is he the biggest unfulfilled talent of recent years for England, of the last 2 decades for England?
I don't know. I feel like you got names like Ramprakash.
Well, that's older than 2 decades, I think.
Yeah, well, I suppose. You want particularly recent.
Yeah.
Then yeah, maybe, because he's, I think, possibly more in the short format. He had a few tests, didn't he? He actually, we decided, my friend and I was watching, who I was down at the Oval with on Wednesday, was saying that it's all karma for him saying not very nice things about Ravi Bopara in a test match at the Oval when, do you remember Hashim Amla scoring 300?
Yeah.
And South Africa racking up 600 odd, and Ravi Bopara was playing in that match. 0 from 6, I think it was, in his first innings. And then
did England lose
78
that one
with the ball?
Did England lose that one? Because I think
did.
I might have been there for the last day. Yeah,
I think they were trying to bat out for the draw and failed.
I was there for the last day.
But yeah, maybe he's up there. I think there's probably a few candidates, aren't there, for that? But I think he's.
I mean, like, the thing is, when we do talk about like unfulfilled talents for England on white ball cricket, it's, if we're looking at the last, take the last 2 years or 3 years out of it, the 7 years that happened before that, like, they weren't making many mistakes. The people that were picked, like, England were pretty good. So
once we realised that white ball cricket was a different game to test matches, and didn't have Rawdon Anderson opening in T20s.
What I was going to say, back to the 100, is again, like, a lot of the actual more interesting stuff was sort of happening off the pitch. There's a big argument now between the Oval Invincibles and the other teams about how they structure the tournament next year, vis-a-vis retentions. So I think it's been announced, it has been announced, that the 100 will move to an auction system for more player recruitment from I think I think it will be next season. Still not sure what format we're going to be playing, but we know there'll be an auction. And all the other teams, they want, I think, 3 retentions. Oval,
you want a mega auction.
Yeah, Oval quite obviously don't want 3 retentions. They want as many retentions.
He wants to keep that team.
So we'll see how that plays out. And it gave it the feeling a little bit. I mean, like, it's 3 wins in a row is good for them. But again, it did give the tournament a little bit of a feeling of like being a placeholder for something else. Like, in the week of the final, you'd think that they would like hold off on announcements, like, oh, we're going to change the how this is done, and oh, by the way, like, all these teams you're watching now, they're all going to be irrelevant next year when we completely break them up. Like, give it a little bit of room, the cricket a little bit of room to breathe, lads. Like, it's.
And I think you've got you've very much got a situation where you've got one team in the the Oval Invincibles winning 3 in a row, thinking, well, look, we're just creating something here. We're creating, like, a dynasty would be a ridiculous word to use, but we're creating some momentum, getting a franchise together that people can get behind. Like, there are people going down for the T20 Blast games, and there's Oval Invincible shirts everywhere. Yeah, like. Probably more Northants shirts than Surrey shirts on Wednesday, but there was they're building, they're actually managing to build some sort of identity, and then by the end of it, it's all about to fall apart and become completely pointless. Whereas you then have the 7 other teams who are all like, let's throw it all up in the air and start again, because it never really worked for us particularly well. So It's a bit of
We
a,
didn't take
yeah,
it
a bit of a
seriously in the
mismatch.
first place,
Yeah.
so we would like to start again.
Yeah. And now we've got some money backing us. Maybe we will actually pay some attention to this. The other thing is the format, isn't it? So obviously, will it be 100 or will it be T20? Did you hear what Jordan Cox said the other day?
I didn't know.
He
What did he say?
I'll paraphrase a little bit, but he pretty much said, why would you make it T20 so you can be the second best tournament in the world when you've got something that's the best?
Oh, Jesus
Which,
Christ.
if you read slightly between the lines, means that what Jordan Cox was saying was we should keep the 100 as the 100 because the 100 is the best, the 100 in the world. Which I suppose it's not wrong, is it?
Yeah,
He's right.
He was wrong.
It is the best, the 100.
He's got a career in cricket administration. Like, he's been called up for the England team. If that doesn't work out, he can transition smoothly into the ECB boardroom with statements like that. Max, I think that's pretty much it for the 100. Should we take a break and then we can come back and talk about?
It could be it for the 100 forever.
It could be. Yeah, I reckon they'll keep the name, even if they change it. No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
The 100 brackets 20.
Yeah. Look, we'll be back in a few seconds. Remember to like and subscribe.